Well, it's getting to be spring cleanup time on the farm again. It's always endless. We always start early and try to get ahead of schedule of the haying season. We have this wonderful flatbed for a truck that came on an older truck that the boys are going to work on. It didn't really fit it, and it basically pays for all their toys and their other parts. So we're going to do a restoration on it. The boards on it, we don't believe were treated, so I've already started pulling those off. We've got to pick up some new cutting screws for it, or decking screws, and I believe we already have the wood, I'm not for sure, and just a little bit of paint up on that. I guess they call it a headache rack. So it's mostly in really good shape, especially for being here in Michigan. So this little area here needs to be heated up and straightened out. They either ran into a loading dock or got rear-ended. It's hard to say, but it's pushed in there and pulled out up here. Probably could use some new reflector tape, which I believe we have on hand, which is a great extra expense. Might need some lighting. No big deal there. And, of course, this little spot here, I noticed, I'll go around here so you can see a little better. This little spot in the expanded metal needs to be heated up, pushed back into place, and maybe some tack welds, just so that nobody gets caught on that. But overall, it's basically rust-free. It's almost as if it was hot dipped or galvanized beforehand. Just got a little bit of peeling paint on the top part, but down below, it's great. There's no rust even where the screws are going in, but the screws are snapping off as we were trying to just take them off with a ratchet. And of course they did a wonderful job here. That's going to be quite the mess to clean up, but we're going to get out what we can so that we don't have to drill every one of them out just by grinding them off. And for the most part, they put 2 screws at the end, one here at about quarter of the way, and 2 on the end. So we're going to straighten this all out and make her look like a parade queen. Well, some people might say it looks worse off, but, well, I'd say it looks better off. And I really got into finding out like how weak some of the screws or studs are that's going into the deck. Some of the boards were much less rotted. And when we were just kind of starting this project yesterday, my husband went right through a board just standing on it. So it's not something that was going to be usable as it was at all. And, you know, for a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, a lot of people would call it, nah, it's going to rain today, don't do it. But the rain ends up getting pushed off for hours, and we're still able to get in and get our project done. So in 20-30 minutes, I was able to rip this whole bed off, a lot of it just by hand. He went and got me a crowbar and a sledgehammer so I could get more of it that was a little bit stuck. So we will be dragging this up to the house so that we can grind off or continue screwing out some of those heads. So basically, it's every other crossbar has 2 for each board, and most of them did not break off flush. See, that went just above. Here, they broke off flush. So whether he wants to grind it or drill them back out, you know, it would just be easier to try to get as many out by hand as we can. But this middle support, it's a 16-foot bed, and they used 8-foot boards to save money. You end up with all these extra holes in here. So those will need to be probably primed and sealed so that it's going to prevent rust later on. And we're going to go with 16-foot boards just to prevent that. But, oh, what a mess. All the dirt, all the rot, just sitting there. The good thing about this, it's one of those 2-for jobs. People are always wondering why I'm doing this work on my own. I sent him to go get some gravel. There's, you know, been a path down here that we've just lightly graveled in the past. So this is about 5 buckets of gravel being put in because this is our low spot that isn't farmable. So we tend to keep the clutter away from the house and the barns by parking things down here that are unnecessary. So, you know, tires and scrap metal that'll be taken in soon, farming field implements and whatnot. So to pull this out and to not get stuck, I just said, you know, bring some gravel. We were out here yesterday cutting up some fallen tree stuff. This area needs to be brush hogged so bad, but some of it's even bigger than like brush hog work. I know a lot of guys would just come and push it over with a backhoe, and if you've seen previous videos, they got a big hole here. They dug out a bunch of hole and made motorcycle hills. We deleted all that out and moved a lot of the dirt. There's a lot of sand here too, so up high in the fields, a lot of clay. We will be moving some dirt into this area, so I think it would be a good idea to cut this cherry tree, and this tree doesn't even have much life left in it anymore. So this area has been a hard turnaround because it dips right down here quite a bit naturally. I've got a creek 20 feet behind me that goes around this low spot, so all the water runs down here to get to that creek anyway. But you can see you just real easy with this snow melting in this warm day. We wouldn't be able to get to this tomorrow. It'll just be too much of a mess, and it's still not a great time for putting in gravel, but it's better than not doing it at all. There's a lot of dirt in the gravel also. It's not like refined or screened. So you can see it digs in still quite a bit. So I said just get it up out of here. We'll grade it again another day and let this settle over the rain for the next 24 hours. But I mean, this is deep. But that's a lot of weight going through it right now too. So up and out of this area. We'll work on this as much as we can today, and we'll show you the progress on it. 2 jobs started. So we're working right along on our prep here, going over all of it with the wire brush and the grinder. We're straightening things out. Let me show you this neat trick that he's doing. It's loud, so if you're wearing earbuds, turn them down, take them off. This is bent from years of like a skid steer or a loader hitting it. He's been straightening them out. This is just the neatest trick. So he's got 2x4s. Get those down in there. And then the steel wedges for splitting firewood. So you just sledgehammer that in there. Then he's hitting them back up from the downside when he's got it all straightened to where he wants. He said go a little further than what you want because it's going to spring back in a little. Good, still a little bit, but very good. So much better.
So then you do it again.
Yep.
See where you're at, do it again.
Oop. So this little spot is all fixed up here. It was busted through. I've got my primer and black paint ready. Then going around and straightening off. They either when they set it down or just with their loading, the side marker lights were all bent in. So I've been straightening those out. And after his little project there, he's going to start in straightening this out or cutting it off and redoing it, because this bumper only goes the middle section. It's not protecting anything on the outsides as far as getting hit from behind. So it's going to look better. She's straight now. So we've been waiting for the paint to harden. If you know a little bit about paint, it really cures or hardens solid in about 30, at lower temperatures it can take longer, or on hot days that aren't too humid, less time. So we've been running, it hasn't been quite 30 days since I painted this, but the paint is nice and hard. We kept thinking about how we wanted to do the deck. Now, this is a special made by Eager Beaver. They do trailers. We did in 2022 or
2021 maybe.
2021, we redid the deck on the Eager Beaver, and we did a video on that as well. These were about 50-something cents a piece. 48 cents. They've doubled in price. It was going to cost us $256 to do this entire truck bed with this system. So on our Eager Beaver trailer, it is every other board gets a washer, and how this works is you drill through the wood. The bolt is going to catch right here on this side of the metal. That way you're not drilling through the metal. Now we bought some self-tapping, all material type screws with T30 heads on them, and that's what was in these holes. There's no way we're going to ever going to be able to line up with that again unless you were to be underneath it and drill through the wood and go down. They had very small heads, just the same size as a construction screw, and if you wanted a bigger washer head, they weren't all material to be able to go through metal. They were only for wood. So we decided we would do this version modified. We bought just standard hardware washers from Menards. They have 2 thicknesses, so we went with the bigger thickness. So if we were to do this every single board with one of these, it was going to be $500 to do the entire bed. So we did our shopping, got our 5/16 washers. It's just going to be one of these, and these are a lot thicker than just a standard washer. So watch for that when you're shopping if you're going to do it this way. And then we're just going to use the regular hex head bolts that are zinc plated. If you wanted to, you could upgrade to the grade 5 or the grade 8s. For this job, this is going to work out just fine. And I believe he's still going to do every other board. So when I was mentioning putting the fasteners every other board, I meant every other cross member from the factory. On this, the Eager Beaver had it also. So we're pinching it here on a rail that is up here at the head rack of the bed. Same, you know, if you were to do it on a trailer. They skipped this cross member, fastened down on this one. Skip this one, fastened down on this one. So we'll be able to do that same thing because of the channel type material that this is made out of. Now, he did not originally have that option on this end. He had to take a piece of angle iron and weld it on here so that we could do that lip, because it was basically made to be able to put the wood under here, but we went with the thicker wood. Is that right?
No, they had square tubing here, and they had some funny fasteners that we couldn't find. This is super hard, like truck frame steel. We didn't have any drill bits that would drill it. We bought the fasteners that are supposed to go through this, and it would just destroy the end.
Yeah.
So I made my own lip to catch with a washer here. They had whatever that is, rectangular or square tubing, just like they have up there.
Right.
So
but did the boards go under this before?
No.
Okay.
Same as, we're putting the same stuff back on an 1.5 inch
Okay.
board.
It was so worn when I tore it apart, I didn't.
Yeah. No, it was not any special. It was just old womanized deck boards. And yeah. So we're just doing it the same. There was always a little wood higher than the metal, which gives you grip.
Yeah. So we're laying out, he started with just the first board and decided he didn't like doing it one board at a time. So we have the bar clamps, and we've got these 48-inch bar clamps so that we can basically do 1/2 of the entire bed at once without having to rip any boards. And then we can do the other half. Now he's pulling them tight because of shrinkage later on, where I know a lot of times people say, you know, a penny for spacing, or, you know, a screw or whatever, but we want that to not have huge gaps later on.
It'll still have gaps when it dries. These were super
Yeah,
wet.
yeah, they were really green. And that was the thing too. We let these sit out for, I don't know, a week to 10 days maybe.
Yeah, but they're going to shrink a lot.
Yeah. And we had some warm weather. We had some, you know, high 70s, 80-degree days for a couple of days, but we're still having freezing nights. So this is what he's using right down there to pull them tightly. This is the inexpensive Tool Shop brand from Menards. And if you tighten them too much, they actually start curving. This is an Irwin from Lowe's, and it's a little heavier duty. And this is the Home Depot brand one. It's solid steel and much better quality over the other two. So you can see here, as he tightened this time it actually started curving this way. And on the blue Irwin ones, well, I can see it on this one, it's dipping down. And to keep the last board from trying to pop up, he's got that pinched down with our shorter clamps to the framework or the cross member going that way.
Does it? It doesn't.
Now here's a little backstory about that truck bed. You see that yellow truck back there? There's another one behind it. The boys are really into these old fuel trucks, and the thing about that yellow truck is it has a 409 in it, and they just love it. My husband has taught his love of old equipment to his boys, and some of these trucks have been in the family for many, many years. What they don't have are tandem axles. They found one, and my husband said he'd only ever seen one before, and he really wanted to have it. So he waited and he watched, and they were able to pick this up, and the truck bed came on it. And kind of my condition, which I don't generally put up much of a say about buying anything, was if he sold the truck bed, it was not original to this, it was not fastened to it in any way, it was just a bonus dog thrown in with the deal. It really is not needed here, and they have other plans for it. Fix that up and sell it, and then you get your money back out of the truck. The way he's fixing it, what we're putting into it, it'll probably be worth more than what they paid for the truck. Then they can use that money to fund the restoration project on that truck and anything on that yellow one for the 409 and the 57 Chevy that my son is also working on. So with the fabrication here that he did, getting the lumber, we're using paint that we already had on hand. He'll fix this back bumper still. These were 16-foot boards that we had to get for just not a huge amount of money, I don't remember. The original boards were tongue and groove, and that's a lot of where the problem lied in that. The water was setting down in between and setting in that groove. So this is only a couple inches of waste that we had total, and it's not even getting wasted because I don't even know what they're using it for. Battery box supports, they're using them here, and they'll get used for other things also. So on the underside, it'll go washer, lock washer, and then nut. And that will pinch that board right down onto that rail. So he's going ahead on the end. He just makes a mark for the edge of the line for the rail underneath. Pre-drilling the holes, then tapping the bolts down in, and then he'll go underneath and start tightening them. So we went back to Menards last night for Nylock nylon locking nuts. We thought that might be a better way to go, that the regular nuts just might work themselves loose. And I saw fender washers. Now fender washers are thick, a lot bigger like this. So we picked up, well, depending on the size. So I saw a 3/4 and something bigger. So we started looking for bigger washers than just that. So now he's decided to double them up. If I can get a shot here. Then we're having more bite right here on that piece of wood and metal, and the added strength of the smaller washer still. So the truck bed top, the frame repaint, everything has come along really well. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Join us back here next time. We are going to cut off and weld up some new parts to fabricate a new bumper for it. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.